Just over 20 years ago, Rodney Croome made headlines around the world when he gave himself up to police in Tasmania for what was then a crime, being homosexual. It was a turning point in the fight to decriminalise homosexuality in that state.
In the years since, Rodney Croome has devoted his life to championing the rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender Australians. He's now Tasmania's Australian of the Year and a finalist for the national title, and he joins us now. Rodney, congratulations on being the Tasmanian of the Year, and not too long to wait to see whether you're Australian of the Year.
Yes, indeed. Thanks for having me on, Paul, and thanks very much. It's a great honour, of course, to be the Tasmanian Australian of the Year. I'm a very proud Tasmanian, as well as being a proud gay man, and I'm looking forward to the ceremony on Australia Day. I've met some of the other people from the other states, and they're all very worthy people, and I'm looking forward to see who will take out that important honour. It's
an impressive list, no doubt, and you fit well on that one. Now, I just want to talk about that moment back in the 90s that we just referred to, and wanted to ask you, what was it in your upbringing that gave you the strength to make that stand in the mid-90s?
Oh, that's an interesting question. It was a difficult thing to do, that's for sure. We'd been campaigning to decriminalise homosexuality in Tasmania, and as some of your audience will remember, Tasmania was the last state to hold on to those archaic laws. But it was another step altogether to go into the police station with a statutory declaration admitting to being in a same-sex relationship and to have broken the law. I guess at the time I would have thought, well, I'm doing this because the law is unjust and it needs to change, and I need to directly challenge the fact that it's still in the books. But if I look back earlier in my life, I guess we're talking about values that I took from my parents, who always said that they would support me, whoever I was in life, whatever I did in life, and always made the point, as I was growing up, that no Australians are better than any others, that we're all equal, that we all should have the same rights in life, the same opportunities in life. They were very hard-working dairy farmers in Tasmania's northwest, and very dedicated to that idea that we're all as good as each other. And I think if I look back, it's values like that I took into the police station with me, the idea that none of us can claim to be better, none of us can claim greater rights, none of us can claim superiority, that we all are equal, and particularly we should be equal in the eyes of the law.
Sounds like you were fortunate to have that guiding light there from your parents growing up. I know you've taken a particular interest in trying to help education and preparing people to know better about health outcomes in remote and regional parts of Australia. Is that because you came from that farm?
Yes, very much. There's still a stereotype that gay people all live in the middle of the city in Sydney and Melbourne, and I made a decision early on that I was going to be an openly gay man in the place that I'd grown up in, Tasmania. Even though at that stage many gay people were still leaving Tasmania, they felt that they didn't belong here and that they couldn't fit in. I was determined that I would belong here, I'd stay here. And I guess I took that aspiration to my work around Australia. My message to gay, lesbian, bisexual and transgender people right across rural and regional Australia is you don't have to go to Sydney or Melbourne to be openly gay. You can stay here and you should expect to be treated the same as everyone else. Whether it's Longreach, whether it's Townsville, whether it's Bunbury, it doesn't matter where it is. You should be able to belong in a place that shaped who you are. And I've worked very hard over the last few years in getting that message out, not only to those gay people, but also, of course, to the communities they're part of. When rural and regional Australian communities, well, at the current time, rural and regional communities need the contribution of all of their members, especially all of their young people. Yeah. They can't afford to lose any of those people, including their young gay people.
Rodney, what sacrifices have you made personally along the way in your activism?
Sorry, can you ask me that again? I just
That's okay. Hopefully your earpiece is working now.
Yes.
I'm just asking you what sacrifices you've made throughout that period, a long period now of activism.
Well, it takes up a lot of time, of course, and so it's been, I haven't necessarily been able to do other things in my life that I'd like to do. It's not a particularly lucrative activity,
Yeah.
so
Well,
so you do
money,
you do
money
make
anyway.
Yeah, you make those sacrifices. That's a choice you make,
Yeah.
and I'm not complaining about that. Early on, when I was campaigning for the decriminalisation of homosexuality in Tasmania, perhaps the biggest sacrifice was coming across the ignorance and the misunderstanding and sometimes the hatred of other people, and having that cut off the links that we had. Tasmania, of course, is a small place. It's very tight-knit. I have a very large extended family, and I grew up in a very tight-knit community, and it was very hard for me to feel cut off from that because of the prejudice and ignorance of some.
Yeah.
And perhaps, I mean, I can look back and say it's been a great achievement that we've managed to change those laws. Tasmania now has some of the best laws on same-sex relationships in Australia, which is wonderful, and Australia itself, of course, has moved on a long way since those times. But I think the greatest achievement, on top of changing laws, has been to change attitudes. And now I feel much more a part of the community I grew up in than I would have, say, 20 or 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that rebonding, that finding a place within community, and that overcoming of the divisions and the hatreds and the prejudices, in my mind, is really the most important achievement that I can take some part in, that I can make some claim on.
Well, yeah, no doubt young people today are maybe feeling much better about it than you were back in the day, in the 90s. Just one final one. Rodney, you've been able to predict how politicians are going to act and legislate along the way about same-sex marriage. So can you predict for us what's going to happen in this space?
Well, I think one thing I can predict, but I'm not particularly outstanding in this regard. I think most Australians can predict this, that at some stage same-sex couples will be able to marry in Australia. I mean, it does seem inevitable that this reform will occur, particularly given that it's already happened in New Zealand and Britain. 36 states in the United States now allow same-sex couples to marry. Canada, Spain, Portugal. The list just goes on. And it seems that will happen in Australia. What I can't predict is how quickly that will happen. All I can say is that if, as it seems, it's inevitable, then the next question is, why are we waiting? Yeah. Why do we have to wait? Why do same-sex partners have to wait any longer to be able to walk down the aisle? Why do the young people we're talking about have to wait any longer to have the message sent to them that they are equal and that they belong and that they don't need to feel excluded from society? There are elderly partners who can't wait much longer. There are elderly parents who just really want to see their child marry and can't necessarily wait much longer. This reform is going to happen. Let's make it happen soon and move on. I mean, the majority of Australians support it. Like I said, it's happened in comparable countries. We've really had the debate in Australia. Let's just get the reform through so that we can all move on to issues which, in the minds of many people, are more urgent and more important.
Rodney, thanks so much for your time this morning. Congratulations again, and good luck with all the hoopla, and I hope you enjoy that. And you're a nominee for Australian of the Year, so we'll see how it goes.
Thank you very much.